Hi, this is Elisa, and you're listening to the first episode for G.A.M.M, where we talk about game, anime, movies, and music. And today I have my partner Sal as well.
Hey,
So we actually are going to be talking about two special movies that aired in both Japan and America, because it is going to be our special show, and we got some special screenings. So the first movie that aired in both Japan and America was Tokyo Ghoul. I actually got to watch the first screening before it even aired in Japan. So I got to watch Tokyo Ghoul at the special screening in Anime Expo, which they aired before Japan and even in nationwide in America. They actually brought the special guest of the main Kaneki, who was played by Kubota Masataka, and they brought the special director as well. They had a Q&A session as well as Kubota dressed up as Kaneki, and it was a really cool scene to watch. The screening was actually a full-on class. There was a lot of people in there. There were cosplayers. There was many great fans. So, and then we got to watch the 2-hour movie with the cast, which was also really cool as well. So, talking about the experience of Anime Expo, I would actually have to say the movie was a 6. I am a huge Tokyo Ghoul fan. So I have watched the anime, I have the books. So when I actually saw the movie, I was a little bit devastated just to see, because the trailers had brought the movie as exactly how the anime was portrayed. But when the movie actually came on, they had squeezed in the best parts of the book, but left out all the minor parts. But Tokyo Ghoul isn't all about the best parts. So it was a little bit devastating for a fan, but I can't deny that the movie was good. If you are a movie fan, it has a lot of action, a lot of sadness, but then there's also happy in the movie. So if you're a movie fan, I would recommend it. If you're a Tokyo Ghoul fan, I would maybe give it a second choice.
okay, question.
Yes.
I know Tokyo Ghoul is a bit gory. How did
Mm-hmm.
that translate into the movie?
That was another thing about the movie, was a little bit hard. It was actually gory, but then again, it was a little bit action-fied. So the movie kind of jumped over with the gore and the action. Tokyo Ghoul is about gore, about eating people. Cannibalism is a little bit of a different words in Tokyo. Like, ghouls are not humans,
Mm-hmm.
but it gave out humanity of eating people is not good, but then ghouls have to eat people to survive was the harder part. So the gore came out a little bit covered, yet it was a bloody movie.
Uh,
But I don't think Tokyo Ghoul is all about gore. So you have to make it that it's the survival of the ghouls to eat humans. But that was the hard part.
so basically, what you're saying is it wasn't quite balanced as it was in the manga and anime.
Yeah. 2 hours for an amazing series of like Tokyo Ghoul isn't the best thing you want to do. I believe when the director wanted to make Tokyo Ghoul, he wanted to put action and gore together, which is not a bad choice. But the gore just came out a little bit too much, maybe. And then the action kind of took over at the end of the movie. To watch the movie, you need to decide if you want to make it into a horror gore movie or you want to make it into an action movie.
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed that with a bunch of live action movies coming into play. Sometimes they try to put a lot of action scenes and they forget about the story or the balancing of characters or the arcs and stuff like that. Another thing, so the movie, I've heard people say that it ended with a sense of a second part to it.
It did. So, of course, Kaneki is known to have black hair in the beginning of the series, but then he turns into a white-haired boy at the end of season 1 of the anime. But in the movie, he actually just ended as the before not killing Amon, he actually fought him, but he had to fight against Lisa and try to not become her. So it ended with that scene where he's trying to still keep his humanity into him rather than falling into Ghoul's hands. Where the anime is more of ending it where he got tortured by the other Ghoul and he turned his hair white and he actually became a Ghoul slash human hero. But the movie didn't. It actually ended as him trying to still fight against to become a human or a ghoul. So with the ending, I believe there might be as part 2, where he actually might turn himself white and actually is becoming a ghoul rather than a human.
Oh, okay.
I think that's why it was a little bit of a cliffhanger as well, is that we got thrown where, okay, so he's still fighting to become a human, he's still fighting to become a ghoul, but that's the end of the movie. Where we want to say, hey, he's going to become a ghoul. We know that from the series. So when are we expecting him to turn white and actually become the ghoul to get the acceptance by humans?
Oh, that said, I mean, after the movie, yeah, there was a Q&A. So did anybody bring up that question?
The Q&A actually was already prior questions. I think they had a survey prior to it. We didn't really get to ask the questions after because of time frame, but it was actually one of the questions that there might be a part 2, but there was no specific answer. So we were still a little bit on the verge of like, oh, are we getting a part 2? Are we not getting a part 2? But a lot of the fans are excited to see a part 2 from even in the crowd, which is really cool.
Well, yeah, I mean, during AX, I was there, and when we walked to the line, I didn't see the movie. People were there camped out since early in the morning, and
It
it
was.
was it was a long line.
It was actually pretty long. So when I got there, the actual screening was done by a room upstairs of a hotel, and the line had already made 5 snake lines going back and forth, and then it went down the escalators to the first floor, and there was even like a snake line there, and it was pretty crazy. And they already had cut off the line by the movie started at 7, and they cut off the line around like 4 or 5 o'clock.
And the only other thing I want to mention is that it was a thing on AX's part that they did not let fans know that they needed an 18 and plus wristband. So people went to line up, sat down. They were there early. No one told them about the wristbands until later on. So they had to either rush and lose their spot in line or take turns with friends. That's on AX's part. It's not the movie's fault.
Well, even Press didn't know. I actually was one of those people because I got there around 6 o'clock, an hour before the movie. So I just wanted to make sure that I can get in all right. And what happened was I was in line and they had told me you don't have your 18 plus and you need to go get it. And I was like, I'm Press. And they were like, nope. Press even has to get it. So I didn't even know where we were supposed to get that. So I had to run over to the convention center because mind me, the hotel was actually on the other side of the convention center. So I had to run over.
Like what, a 10-minute walk, or you kind of bolted out of there like you were on a mission.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I was in heels. So that was even I was like, I need to run, to get there on time. And I ran there. I got my badge. I came back. And thankfully, the people remembered me. So I was like, oh my gosh, I got my badge. And they're like, okay, you're good, you're good.
The other thing was that I wouldn't understand why AX couldn't have a table right in front of there having the wristbands, for people who didn't have them instead of letting them go all the way to the convention center.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it's like a movie theater, but just in a hotel room. So, you get your badge and you get your ticket and you show your ID. Okay, you're good to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, the movie itself was good. So I would recommend it to movie fans. I think they'll enjoy some good action movie. And then also, you get to see some shirtless men in the movie. And they're very nice. They're very nice. Suzuki Nobuyuki actually played Amon, and he was well built. So if you're just wanting to some drool over some shirtless men ladies, I would really recommend it as well. But for Tokyo Ghoul fans, I might have to say maybe ask some of your personal friends and ask them how they felt. Because for me, as a Tokyo Ghoul fan, it was a little bit sad.
Yeah, well, you gave it a 6 out of 10, so...
Yeah, for a Tokyo Ghoul fan, yeah, I would have to say it was a 6. I think they could have done better. Or if maybe they came with a part 2, maybe I can actually make it into a 7 and maybe make number 2 actually a better rating. Yeah, so the next movie, we actually got special thanks to our friends from 11 Arts. We got our screening of A Silent Voice, the movie. This actually aired in Japan last year, and it is actually now nationwide. So it's actually really, really, really good movie. I would actually pass it to Sal.
Well, yeah, the movie came out on the 20th. So it's nationwide. There's basically a long list of theaters. We're going to put the link down below. So feel free to check out if there's a theater net close to you so you can go watch it. Well, this movie is about a young man who's ostracized by his classmates after he bullies a deaf girl to the point where she moves away. And years later, he sets off on a path for redemption. This movie, I actually had heard about it a while ago, and I was really interested in it. It's the whole concept behind trying to forgive yourself for stuff that you've done in the past. It touches upon depression, suicide, bullying, disabilities, basically the whole concept about accepting oneself after you've done something bad and you recognized it. The lead character actually tries to commit suicide right off the bat. He tries but doesn't succeed because somehow he stops, and that's when we start finding out, what he has done in the past. And the two main characters, you come to care for them. It's a heartfelt movie, and basically it's one that you want to share with a lot of people as you can, especially if you have friends who've been bullied or they had depression or have depression or been considering suicide. I would highly recommend this movie. I gave it a 9 out of 10. It was really well done. I put it up there with movies like Your Name, The Girl Who Lived Through Time, all those good movies that are out there. This movie is actually on my top 10 list, not just because of the story, but also the art and the whole meaning behind it. Alyssa, what did you think about it?
The movie was amazing. I was actually struck by the movie. I wasn't expecting the movie to be. At first, I thought it was very depressing. You don't have your main character suddenly trying to jump off a bridge and trying to kill himself. That's just something that's not really expected in movies nowadays. But I feel like I really want to recommend having elementary school children to watch this movie. Just because we are coming to a point where we are going to have a lot of different races in our country. Japan is an island, so we don't really have the connection like America where we have different kinds of race. So this movie was about a girl with a disability, but it's not that different. You can't speak the same language. You would have to speak with your hands. It is really, really hard for an elementary school child to understand that one is different. And this movie portrays very deep thoughts of Japan right now. We have struggled in bullying, depression of people, disabilities, because we're an island and we don't accept the people that's different than us. But I actually give it a 9 as well. I was even thinking a 10. But, there are some parts where I'm just like, oh, maybe the movie shouldn't have jumped so many places, because it does jump from now to past. So it was a little bit hard to understand. But the coloring, the movie itself, the layout is laid out really nice. So I would have to definitely give it a 9.
Yeah, I mean, I gave it a 9. The only reason was because some of the story would lag, and sometimes important parts would just zoom right past the story. So I think for me, it was something about timing and pacing. I mean, the whole story itself was really good. Like I said, the story itself would get a 10, but the way they paced it, I think they could have done a little better. But the whole message was there. We got the message. Acceptance is always key in life, especially of other people and yourself. Other than that, there's a little tidbit that we would want to talk about, since the movie takes place with the characters always meeting by the bridge, feeding the koi fish. I came upon, I would say, a tale or a story of koi fish or carp swimming up a stream, and something about them transforming into a dragon. I'm not really sure if you're aware with this, or have you heard about this folk tale?
Yes, so there's actually this folk tale about a koi fish that actually swims up a waterfall and becomes a dragon. This is actually a lot more famous to a lot of people, like Pokemon. Magikarp turns into Gyarados, so he was actually a koi fish, and he, you can't really use that Pokemon until you have to actually let it fight a little bit, then it finally turns into Gyarados. Is because this folktale actually portrays a koi fish that wants to become a dragon, but he has to swim up a really, really big waterfall. And a fish usually can't do that. But it takes him years, thousands of years, to finally climb up this waterfall. And by the time that he's up by the waterfall, he actually turns into a dragon. So this movie, I feel like, actually portrayed the fish that one actually has to hit struggles and hurdles to go up a hill, but then at the very, very top of the fall, there's actually something waiting for you.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed also that at the bridge there's four koi fish that are gray and one that's colored, and to me it kind of resembles that the gray colored fish are the classmates and the colored fish is both main characters, and how they keep swimming even though they find people harassing them through life, at class and school. Even the main character, once he meets the girl's mother, she still rejects him for what he did when he was young, but he still keeps going. He still keeps trying to talk to them. He's trying to repent, and that just means that he's trying to change, and he's forcing himself to keep swimming even if it takes him forever. And finally they do reach the top of the waterfall, and they do transform, not into a dragon, but they transform into better people. And that really just brought it home. After I read this folktale online, people were trying to say, link it to the movie. Then when I read the story, it kind of made sense at how it fits into the movie. We're not claiming that it was done intentionally, but it's a good metaphor of the whole story, I would say, and how people just, in life, don't give up. Keep fighting, keep swimming.
Yeah. And, in the very beginning, I was actually, like I mentioned, I didn't know it was going to be such a sad movie. And I felt like, oh, like this guy's getting karma now. But it's not about karma. It's more about how you can fix what you did in the past. So, you might have done something really, really bad in the past, but there are several ways to fix it. Not rather than ending your life in some way or form, but there is a way to fix it. And people are appreciative of that, and they actually want to help you. So, if you did something mean to a friend, you need to apologize. Even if it takes a week, a month, even a year to apologize. But there's always a way to fix it. So I feel like this is what the movie tells you, especially, for elementary school kids where they have more time to fix something. Where that's why I really, really recommend this movie to a lot of the children that's out there right now. Because they should understand that even if you did one bad thing, there's always a way to go back.
Yes, that's really true. Also, I wanted to touch upon the whole fact that the movie's in Japan, it takes place in Japan, and people in Japan, most of them are Buddhist, and they believe in karma and reincarnation. So I want to see the main character that he wanted to, when he was going to commit suicide, he stopped and then thought that he had bad karma and he needed to basically not erase it, but kind of cancel it out by doing good. And he wanted to leave before he actually left the world or life. He wanted to leave with everything in order, especially his friends. Even though his friends were the ones who bullied him, he still needed to go and tell them, hey, I forgive you. In the same sense that he needed to forgive himself, but he wanted to also make people happy. The way that he sold all his stuff and gave his mom money, for what he did in the past, because she had to take money out of the bank. He had to repay her. He had to do all these things before he left. But he didn't commit suicide, but at the same time, he still kept trying to improve people's lives that he knew, especially the girl. He wanted to make her happy in a sense that he said, he would think that by making her happy, she would forgive me. Well, the whole thing about the movie, and I've always told people this when I recommend this movie, don't just watch the movie, listen to the movie. Because one thing is hearing people and just hearing what they have to say, but another thing is listening with your heart and understanding what they mean. She can't speak, but she uses her sign language. He understands sign language, but he thinks it's a literal thing. I just need to hear what she has to say. But in the whole scheme of things, he has to open up and listen, truly listen to her words. Because she has no voice, but she still has a message to give him. And at the end, that's what he reaches. He finally says, hey, I've been trying to hear you, but I have not been listening to you.
And And I feel like this movie, it's you can more like watch it more than once. You learn more, ways of learning about life by watching this movie. I watched it once and I feel like I should watch it again, maybe like in a month or so. And I feel like I'll learn something new again because, at the first time I had the thoughts of like, oh, karma, like he got karma. That's why he's getting bullied now. But then after the movie ended, I was like, no, that was not about karma. That was more about how you can repay for what you did in the past. So I feel like that part we can definitely, relearn it. And then now you'll have a different mindset. And then you can see more because I actually, to tell you the truth, did not notice about the fish. So now I'm like over here like, oh, maybe I should watch it again so I can actually see the colored fish and the gray fish, or maybe if there's more signs I had missed, and it might be more of an enjoyable movie again.
Yeah, and plus another thing that you want to pay attention to is that the sister of the girl, she's a photographer. She's interested in pictures, but most of the pictures she's always taking is about death. And that's the other thing about the reincarnation theme in the movie. There's always images of life and death. And the characters are always walking through a tightrope between life and death. The main character, he wants to commit suicide, but then he wants to be alive and he wants to, make amends. So he's walking that fine line between life and death and reincarnation. So there's always these images in the movie. So sometimes, like you said, you can't see everything for the first time around, but if you watch it again, you get all these little tidbits and you notice stuff. And also, let me plug in some of the voice characters that are on here. Actually, let me point out that one of the characters in the movie is voiced by Megumi Han, and we know her from Little Witch Academia, and she's done other roles amazingly. We actually interviewed her, and we might put a link down below that we interviewed her for her Little Witch Academia roles and other movies that she's been in. So yeah, that was a kind of a little Easter egg for me, because once I heard her voice, it just clicked on me like, oh, that's Megumi, and we met her and we interviewed her. So we kind of like know her more than anybody can, just watch a movie and be like, oh yeah, these are just regular people. But no, we got to talk to her before, so that was kind of interesting. And there's other voice actors in the movie that are very interesting and amazing from other animes. So if you're an anime fan and you watch this movie, you might come into a surprise of hearing some voices that you recognize from other anime. With that said, I think we gave it our rating. It's a 9 for both of us. There's going to be a link down below. It's in all theaters nationwide. Not all theaters, but most theaters nationwide. Go click it. Look for a movie theater close to you. We recommend you go watch it. And also, if you have like kids, little kids, this is a good movie to show them of acceptance. Because nowadays, even now, as we are in a nation, we need to learn how to accept people. We can't just say it's us and them. We're all together in this. So we have to learn to accept people and also accept ourselves. So with that said, Alyssa?
Yep, so thanks so much for listening. We will be coming out with more gaming, anime, music, and movie information for you guys here at this podcast. This was our first episode ever. We might be playing it around, but thank you so much for listening, and hopefully you guys can listen back to us. Well, this was Elisa and my partner here.
Nice to meet you guys.
And we will be back.
And our social media and description should be also linked on below. So if you want to reach us, you can reach us at those places. Send us an email, or you can just leave a comment below. With that said, we're signing off.
Goodbye.